Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love. We're with another episode of Sports OV Topics, episode number 61. Hope everyone's having a good day out there on this fine Tuesday. Although I'm recording this on Monday, which you'll get this on Tuesday. Nonetheless, again, thank you for joining me. Hope everyone's being safe again. Now, today on the podcast, I have a bunch to go over. Very, I would say, vague, but kind of leaning towards you can kind of figure over the podcast the last past weekend. So we had NFL preseason week 1. We had over the weekend from Thursday to Sunday was week 1 of the preseason NFL, and the big highlight or the big talking points coming out of the preseason was the 5 first round quarterbacks taken in this year's draft: Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Field, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson. So now they all had their right points and they all had their things they need to work on because all their teams are different, being the Jets, Patriots, 49ers, Jags, and Bears. But they all showed good glimpses, and people can say, this guy won. Oh, this guy is better. I mean, it was week 1. It was one game, but they definitely all had their different wins in what they showed. So for starters, Mac Jones. He was 13-19 on Thursday against Washington uh, for 87 yards, and he led the Patriots on 2 field goal drives for the time he was in. Now, he has some good passes. He was efficient. He There was one catch made by Jacoby Myers, which was a catch, but they called it incomplete. However, still a efficient performance, first performance by Mac Jones. There was one. He did go down the field kind of twice. Once to Wilkinson in the end zone, which was a perfect throw, but Wilkinson could not make the grab for the touchdown. And one down the field to Gunnar Olszewski, but it was a little out in front for him. But some good moments, again, efficient, and did what he need to for his first start, or his first showing at Patriots uniform. Then we get to Trey Lance. Now, Mac Jones is fighting for the starting QB spot in New England, whereas Trey Lance, he's basically being left to groom, really, behind Jimmy Garoppolo. He had arguably the best moments of all of these QBs, but he was not very efficient. He was, and for those who are wondering, that 8-yard touchdown to Trent Sherfield, that was a good highlight. However, was 5 of 14 and 128 yards. So, talent, yes. We know he has a good arm. He's a good athlete. However, he's got accuracy and efficient issues, is what you can judge from. Although he did have 2 dropped passes, but nonetheless, so that would have been 50%. But, you know, you can all see the glimpses and what they need to work on. Justin Fields was probably the most productive on of all these QBs, uh, judging from his week 1 preseason performance, was 14 of 20 for 142 yards, 1 touchdown passing, which was a wide open touchdown to Jesse James. He had 33 yards rushing and a touchdown on ground. So, 2 touchdowns, a completed 70% of his passes. Um, Again, Justin Fields, well, he had some issues in the first half. Um, and then more into the second half, um, he really picked it up. And that's when he scored his touchdowns. But nonetheless, good showing by him. You can kind of see with all the placements of the quarterbacks where they're going to be featuring, because you know that Matt Nagy has said that he wants to wait it out with Fields and for him to sit behind Dalton. Question is, how long will that last? But good showing by Fields. Trevor Lawrence, the first pick in the draft. Um, it felt weird seeing him in a Jags uniform uh, for the first time, just because you're accustomed to seeing him in that orange of Clemson. But he was efficient. Uh, didn't have a flashy play like Trey Lance or as productive Fields, but he was efficient. He completed a long pass to Marv Jones, which was a bit underthrown, but that's a criticism, of course, people have. But nonetheless, it was a big completion for Trevor Lawrence for 71 yards. Uh, you know, Efficient. We saw a glimpse. We can tell the Jaguars aren't very talented of a team, so it's going to be a building process. That's why I saved for them on predictions. 6 wins probably is best for them, but they'll be a fun watch, I will say, for the Jags. Then, last but not least, Zach Wilson, who was 6 for 9 for 63 yards, did lead the team on a field goal drive, but that was it. You know, we can tell that his movement, how he's an off script kind of QB. how he has a good arm. Again, we saw different things from HQB. Trevor Lawrence, the poise with just Fields as well, the mobility of Fields, Trey Lance, the ability, Mac Jones, the efficiency. So, all different aspects that they have strengths on, and they're going to be looked to build on in the future. Now, those were 5 first round QBs, but also getting into some of the other highlights of the preseason. So, Jordan Love, this was his first preseason as well. Last year, of course, there wasn't preseason, but he did really well for his first game for the Packers and was 12 of 17 for 122 yards and a touchdown. Was productive. Again, nothing huge. He did complete a nice pass down the middle to Jace Sternberger, but not bad for showing for Jordan Love in the Packers uniform. And again, with the whole uncertainty with the Packers, and of course, knowing last year they traded up to get him, it felt like a little bit of sigh of relief for them as well. What was probably not a sigh of relief was Davis Mills. Uh, his debut, again, it's only one game, but judging off the stats and what you could find, Davis Mills, he was 11 for 22, 112 yards, and an interception. Now, again, not good, really stat line, but you can tell he still has some growing pains being their first draft pick, and I mean, this whole dysfunction with the Texans, it's really difficult to dissect. You know, Deshaun Watson, that whole fiasco with the front office, it is what it is, but not a terrible performance, although not great statistically, but good for Davis Mills. Dwayne Haskins, who is getting a second lease on life in the NFL for the Steelers, battling to be the backup behind Ben Roethlisberger with Mason Rudolph. He completed 16 of 22 passes for 161 yards and a touchdown. So efficiency is there. You know, we knew coming out of Ohio State that he wasn't a big thrower down the field, but he was efficient. Uh, kind of the same with Mason Rudolph, but he's taking command and he's taking his opportunities when presenting himself. So good for Dwayne Haskins. Kyle Trask, who was another second round QB taken in the draft. Some people thought he could have gone in the first round. Out of Florida State, their rookie for the Buccaneers, who assumably will be the third QB for the Buccaneers down the stretch. Well, Tom Brady and Blaine Gabbert. Now, he was the fourth QB behind Ryan Griffin which only makes sense. If he's gonna win the third QB spot, he's gotta earn it. It wasn't pretty for Kyle Trask. He did have a highlight, though, at the end of the game, completing a nice jump pass in the end zone for the 2 point conversion to keep the score manageable, but nonetheless, 4 of 15 for 45 yards. Um, growing pains as well. Then Kellen Mond, you know, for the Vikings, taking the second round as well. I mean, the expectations with the fiasco over the COVID situation, not getting much reps the last days, the last some odd days for the Vikings with Kirk Cousins and Kellen Mond. It's understandable, but the stat line 6 of 16 for 53 yards. He was the backup, which makes sense behind Jake Browning. Uh, but it is what it is. Now, also want to shed light on two QB battles, uh, which started for the preseason. Drew Lock for Teddy Bridgewater in Denver. Taysom Hill for Jameis Winston in New Orleans. Drew Lock had a great day for preseason. He was 5 of 7 for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Vikings. Teddy Bridgewater was also efficient, nearly perfect on the day. 7 of 8 for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. So, interesting to keep an eye on that quarterback battle. Taysom Hill versus Jameis Winston. It was more even. Kind of say for this QB battle, Taysom was 8 of 12 for 81 yards and an interception. Jameis Winston, who was 7 of 12 for 96 yards, 1 touchdown, but also an interception. So, again, it's not easy going, although Ian Book has a solid day for them as well. But definitely have to keep an eye on both those quarterback battles uh, in the NFL. Also, because it's an interesting topic of discussion, the NFL top 100 players of 2021 started last night with 100 to 41. So, very interesting going down the list, but shed light for discussion. So, again, we'll just read the names off and give a little opinion. So, at 100, we had James Robinson, which he could have won Rookie of the Year, but with the season Justin Herbert had, it took away from his season a bit. Brandon Graham, he was 99. 98 was Brandon Sheriff. 97, Kyle Juszczyk, arguably the best fullback in the league. Cole Beasley, number 96, had arguably his best year. Tre'Davious White, you know, he's regressed a little bit, the last couple of years, but he's still one of the best corners in the league. Jarvis Landry, number 94, picked up when OBJ got hurt. TJ Hawkinson made the Pro Bowl, good showing last year, and was one of the bright spots for a sad season in Detroit. 92, Jason Kelsey, which Noah figured that his brother will probably be in the top 20, if not top 10. 91, Corey Davis has best season as pro. Jesse Bates getting some love at 90. Was saved by Pro Football Focus to be the top safety of last year, which he's getting slept on, but it's so good to give him some shine. So then 89, Tristan Wirfs. 88, Shaquille Barrett. Good for both 2 straight Buccaneers. 87, Allen Robinson, who seems to get 1,000 yards and be productive despite the QB now with the Andy Dalton, Justin Fields dynamic. He's expected to get a happy, stable quarterback finally. 86, Marshall Lattimore. 85, Zach Martin. 84, Big Cat Leonard Williams. Had his best year, so give him some light. Good. 83, Ryan Tannehill. I mean, went lower in the list despite having a bad year, but good that he's made the list 2 in a row. 82, Garrett Bowles. Again, had his best year as a Bronco. 81, Chris Godwin, Super Bowl champ. Number 80, Adam Thielen. Still stable for years. 79, Teron Armstead. 78, Jeffrey Simmons, who I think people have to keep an eye on in Tennessee more often. I'm a little surprised that I think everyone would be surprised that he made higher than Ryan Tannehill, but oh well. Then a pair of Seahawks, 77, Quandre Diggs, 76, Tyler Lockett, 75, Leverett Tunsil, which, I mean, one of the only bright spots, arguably the only bright spot left in Houston. Number 74, James Bradbury, getting better and better. 73, Trey Hendrickson, well deserved. Michael Thomas, 72, obviously because he only played 9 games and will miss the start of the season. But he's still getting production and etching himself in the record books. Hopefully he gets healthy ASAP. 71, Baker Mayfield. Number 70, Eric Kendricks. Number 69, Ryan Kelly. 68, Josh Jacobs. 67, KJ Wright. 66, JJ Watt, who I know people will complain about. 65, Calvin Ridley. 64, Demario Davis. 63, Fletcher Cox. 62, A.J. Brown, who I'm sure is going to foaming at the mouth to have more production with Julio Jones by his side. 61, Chase Young. Could be higher, but he was a freak in his first year, and he's going to be on this list. More to come. 60, Corey Linsley, which maybe besides Justin Herbert, the most important player for the Chargers this season. 59, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul. Again, another Super Bowl champ. The first of the Chiefs, 58, Tyrann Mathieu, who still had a very productive season for the Chiefs. Still getting it done. He's basically their emotional leader on defense. 57, Cameron Hayward, still going strong. 56, Justin Herbert, who, had that great rookie year. And again, is going to have, and is also going to be on this list for years to come. Keenan Allen, his threat of wide receiver. 54, Gray Jarrett, who is underrated by many, you could say, but glad to see him, of course, make this list. 53, Justin Jefferson, who I think it wasn't as surprising as Herbert how well he did, but considering how he was drafted and how he was looked at, it was kind of interesting to see his rise. 52, Mika Fitzpatrick. 51, Zadarius Smith. 50, George Kittle, which, the injuries definitely hindered him this year, but hopefully he's more healthy this year. 49, J.C. Jackson, who, exploded last year. Exploded with his production. 9 picks. 9 picks. Along with the fumble recoveries for J.C. Jackson, but what more can I say? 48, another Buccaneer, Mike Evans. 47, Stephon Gilmore. These guys getting nearly back-to-back. You gotta pay them somehow, but I don't know how. 46, Cam Jordan. 45, Justin Simmons. Another underrated guy. 44, Christian McCaffrey. Obviously his season was injury riddled, but hopefully he's more healthy for the Panthers this season and gives Sam Darnold a good safety blanket or safety net, whichever you would call it. 43, Levante David, who last year he was 100 and jump up to 43. That's a high jump, but well deserved. 42, Trent Williams, who still showed he has much left in the tank. Last season for the 49ers. Then 41, Jair Alexander, who like I've been saying with underrated players, he is up there for being underrated. Arguably the best corner in the league for the NFL. But that was 100-41. We'll get obviously the last 40 in due time, but it's good to see. I mean, obviously, it does mean a whole lot, but it's about getting recognition from your peers on this list. And it's good to see them get shine on this list when many of these players are underrated by, say, the media or etc. But yeah, obviously, few people were probably too high or not high enough, but nonetheless, good list for the top 100-41. So then we also got a little bit of news. So Cade Cunningham, who was the number one overall pick in this year's NBA draft, taken by the Detroit Pistons, who were undoubtedly the worst team in the NBA last season. But one bright spot, and he showing some poise and showing some potential in the summer league, scoring 24 and 20. You know, he can be a building block definitely for the Pistons and getting them out of this funk, which seemingly they have been in for the last few years now. Since Blake Griffin had that great year and helped lead them to the 8th seed in the playoffs, only to lose to the Bucks. But we'll see. But good for the Pistons. Liangelo Ball, who is the third Ball brother and son of LeVar Ball, along with Lonzo and LaMelo. Liangelo has been showing some shine with the Hornets as well, and giving them another piece for them to operate with. And it's funny to think about that Michael Jordan is the owner of the Hornets, in which Liangelo and LaMelo